Call the meeting to order. Call for a motion to exit executive session.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Call for a motion to enter into public session. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Please stand for the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone, and we'll begin tonight with our external auditor presentation.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Luke Malecki. I was the partner on your external audit. We wrapped up our procedures over the last few weeks and are in the final stages of the audit. Purpose of tonight's presentation is to give a brief summary to the board on the results of the audit, as well as kind of introduce some actions of the board later this evening. Will be hosted by your assistant superintendent of finance and administration regarding the reserves, and then the next actions of the audit. So in front of you, I left two different items. One is the draft set of financial statements, and the other is a brief presentation. And for the purposes of this discussion, we'll focus really on the brief presentation. We did meet at length with the audit committee and went over some of the more details of the financial statements. The purpose of this is really just to give a brief overview and then give you some time to look through the drafts and then ultimately accept the financial statements at the next board meeting in a couple of weeks. So foremost, the first slide here, the products of our audit. We are one of three different auditors within the school district. Our responsibility as external audit is to perform a series of tests on the general ledger that's maintained within the business office to determine whether or not those numbers fairly represent the district's position at June 30th, 2025, and for the year then ended. We did perform those tests starting in August and wrapped them up in September, and had enough evidence that satisfactory evidence to determine that we have an unmodified or clean opinion on the financial statements. That report is in quality control review right now, so we anticipate that to be finalized over the next week or so, and you'll have it in time to submit to the state through the ST3 form. Should anything come up in that quality control review that would be a material change to this financial statements, we'll make sure to communicate that accordingly with the audit committee and they can pass that on. We don't anticipate it, but it isn't finalized. So I wanted to make sure that that was clear. We'll also be subsequently issuing a report on the federal awards. Right now, the compliance supplement is not finalized by the federal government, so we cannot issue that until it is finalized. This is a nationwide item, so you're not unique in that, and the state should be understanding that the federal awards will be delayed a little bit. So we'll be working with Deanna on that as we wrap things up. The next bullet is the management letter. There are a couple of items, just some new reporting requirements that we wanted to bring to the attention of the board and the district. So we'll draw your attention to that letter when that's released. Auditor communications letter, that is a summary of key assumptions within what our responsibility is and what the district's management responsibility is. Most important ones to highlight are mainly our the responsibility to gain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are without material misstatement. As I mentioned, that we had an unmodified opinion, so we were able to achieve that goal. We also like to cite that we are independent of the district. It's a key requirement of external audit, and we are independent of your district. Everyone that has touched the audit signs off as being independent. There's some significant auditing procedure, significant accounting policies are summarized within there. This year, there were two new statements that were implemented in the school district. They had no material impact in there. So for all intents and purposes, these financial statements are very similar one year over the next. We had no disagreements with management, no known material misstatements, and all in all, very clean, smooth audit. And it was a first year of transition when you had Allison in here last year and now Deanna coming in. This was her first audit that she oversaw. The last bullet there is the extra classroom activities fund. As you know, it's a report, a cash-based report that will give a summary of all of the student-run programs and the balances thereof. So that's the qualitative item of the presentation, just shifting a little bit to the revenues and expenditures on the general fund. Your district's a little bit unique, that you have a component unit with a Tuscarora school that gets its state approved budget, where you have a general fund that is the voter approved. So for the purposes of this conversation, we're looking at the results of the voter approved general fund. There are combining statements that break the two funds out on pages 60 and 61 if you're trying to tie numbers back and forth. But we're looking at the general fund and the voter approved budget. So when you're looking at the charts of the revenues and expenditures, you can see that the revenues stayed pretty level year over year, ending the year at about $82.3 million. A little bit decrease in Native American tuition, which is a formula of the state, and federal aid, which we're starting to see a lot of those federal aid programs from the COVID era start to wind down. So those both decreased it. A little bit of uptick in your state aid, as far as it goes, is from commercial gaming and some of that basic formula aid. But the decreases in those revenues were offset by the increases. And as I said, for all intents and purposes, a very smooth year. Revenues changed by about $482,000 from last year. They also performed very similar to the budget. The state aid was a little bit favorable, federal aid was a little bit unfavorable, so those two canceled out. And you did outperform the budget on the revenue side by about $200,000, and that is from some favorable interest earnings within the school district's cash accounts. On the expenditure side of things, expenditures did increase by about $2 million. A large portion of that, about $1.5 million, was related to instruction. Last year when we spoke, we cautioned the district that we're starting to see the end of the ESSER and GEAR programs, the ARPA era programs. About $1.5 million was carried in 23-24 in the federal aid fund. That aid now has been withdrawn from the federal government. So some ancillary expenses were canceled off, and then some of those instructional and salaries that were carried in the federal aid in years past shifted back to the general fund. So once we isolate those from the equation, the expenditures and the instructions really had a level year over year as well. One item that did increase independently was your transportation. We're starting to see this across the industry as transportation contracts are just increasing throughout the districts that we're working with. Your transportation contracts increased by about $500,000 this past year. When we looked at it compared to the budget, a favorable year on the budget, your expenditures outperformed the appropriations by close to $7 million. A lot of that was in the instruction, some salaries that were unused, or some teachers with lower salaries replacing some retiring teachers. There's also some savings in the BOCES, and as well as some costs for the instruction costs related to providing services for students with handicapping conditions. And those are just items that we typically see budgeted as if what could be spent, because you need to have that cushion in there if someone needs those services, or if the BOCES bills come a little bit higher than expected. So predictable budgetary savings on those. Also, central services had a little bit of savings related to utilities, maintenance, and repairs, similar to those instruction items that I just mentioned. Those savings were related to items that might be needed should there be a very terrible winter, or repairs and maintenance that goes unpredicted. Insurance and TRS and ERS bills had a little bit of a savings as well, on about a $1.5 million increase. And similarly, very unpredictable numbers when you're putting the budget years about a year and a half in advance. So that we typically see a little bit of a cushion there, because you just don't know where that's going to land. So all told, as I said, about $7 million savings on the appropriation side, and all along the lines of areas that we would expect to see those kind of savings. So what happened with the revenues coming into 82.3 and expenses at 79.7 million? There was a change in fund balance of about 2.6. The next slide provides the proposed reserves that Deanna will go over with you later. I just want to show that the bulk of all of the increase and some additional increase went into the reserves. You'll see about a $4 million increase. So $2.5 million was from the results of operations. And then last year you assigned about $2 million, or I think exactly $2 million for future capital reserve, which was subsequently approved by the voters in spring. So that was funded, and that increased that red portion to 23.5. So that was, the capital reserve increased by about 2.8, so. And then Deanna will go over this later with you. The transportation proposed reserve increases by about 500,000. And then employee benefits increases by close to $1 million with some retirements on the horizon. So as I said, the plan has not been adopted yet, but this is the proposed plan by your management and it will go in detail at a subsequent resolution tonight. So at the end of the proposed resolutions, should those go through, the last slide presents the compliance with real property tax law 1318, which states that the district cannot have more than 4% of unassigned fund balance. And you'll see from this chart that you're right at that 4% rule. So putting you within compliance of that. Just some other funds really quickly to note. On the special aid fund, it did decrease in activity by about $1.5 million. That was related to those ESSER and GEAR programs. These funds activities are summarized on page 16. The revenues and expenditures for the general fund that I spoke on earlier on page 50 and 51 gives a little bit more detail there. School lunch fund has a fund balance of about 53%. The state requires that you have an action plan if you're over 50%. So I'm expecting that they'll reach out to the business office to get that action plan in place because you're just slightly over that ceiling. The special revenue fund is that increased by about $757,000 for an ending fund balance of $7.6 million. That's your host community funds that are awarded to the district through the contract. And that is money that must be used for capital. So you'll see it in a capital reserve within your financial statements. Capital project fund started seeing a lot more activity as the 2022 project, about $23 million of capital outlay was out there as compared to $6.4 million last year. You'll notice that when you look at your financial statements, there's a negative fund balance in the capital projects. That's nothing to be alarmed about. That is because there's a ban that is outstanding. Once that ban goes to long-term, that liquidates into a revenue and that will flip to a positive. So a predictable deficit, nothing to get alarmed about. And then the last fund that the district holds is the debt service fund. And that has your Greenway money that comes in about $500,000 or so a year. And it also has some debt premium, and that fund balance is about $4 million and will be used in future budgets to offset debt service costs. So that's the formal quick presentation through a lot of high level information, 10,000 foot look at the financial statements. We did go a little bit deeper with the audit committee, but if there's any questions now, I'd be happy to handle those as I could. And then if anything comes up as you're going through these financial statements, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Corey Scoble-Sevenson, whose information is on the last slide. We're both happy to assist. Any questions?
No questions. I was just, if the board's okay with it, I was gonna ask if Deanna would just add the information that has to do with number 6 under consensus agenda items that Luke actually referenced, because that would be important because it'll tie in right now. That way, when it's time for you to vote, we'll be ready. It just seems to make sense. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I say thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, so as Luke mentioned, we have a focus on our capital reserves, funding $2 million of our capital reserve that was assigned last year into our new 2025 capital reserve that was voted on by the public in May and approved. So our plan is to fund that reserve $2,250,000. Along with that is our capital technology reserve. We are planning to put $500,000 into that reserve. That helps us with our long-term technology plan. We have devices and infrastructure that has to be replaced every so often. And so we have a replacement schedule for those, and having a reserve helps us plan for years when it may be $150,000 cost, and another year it might be $2 million. So the proposed $500,000 for that reserve. Another capital reserve is our transportation reserve. Same, we have a replacement schedule for our buses, and we have not had to issue debt to buy buses. So we can continue that plan with our replacement with the transportation reserve. And also with a plan of having to purchase electric buses in the future, which are more expensive. So our plan is to allocate $1 million to that reserve. Some other reserves, are those that might show up in the budget, that we've used to offset our expenses for retirement contributions. Tax certioraries, which is, if somebody challenges their assessment and we end up having to owe them for taxes that they've previously paid, that can become costly, especially with all the commercial properties in our area. And finally, the workers' compensation reserve. And then last but not least is our other employee benefits reserve. That is what we can use when we have our retirees linked to sick leave payout at retirement. So we're anticipating more retirements this year, and so we're planning to set aside more money for that expense. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you. We need a separate vote now.
You'll do the consensus, she'll do a roll call, because she just has to, you don't need roll call. Renee just needs to keep track of how many yeses.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Moving on to the public hearing for the renewal of charter for Niagara Charter School. You want to touch on that?
Sure, it's just an opportunity. The district is required to offer a public hearing. This would be a time for anybody who was interested to speak about the renewal.
Is there anyone who would like to speak for the public hearing? You, Jim? Okay, go ahead. I didn't know if you want residents' comments or for the hearing. I wasn't sure if you were here for residents' comments or for the hearing. Very good.
So I'm gonna speak for Niagara Charter.
Very
School,
good.
so
Welcome.
I appreciate the opportunity and you're putting us on the agenda this evening. For 20 years, Niagara Charter School has resided within the Niagara Wheatfield District. Today, we serve approximately a dozen Niagara Wheatfield students, alongside with many families from other communities. Our largest population is coming from Niagara Falls. We believe parent choice within public education matters, and we're proud to be one of the options families can trust. Excuse me. Our relationship with Niagara Wheatfield has been cordial and collaborative. We maintain open lines of communication with the district leadership and coordinate smoothly whenever on students' special education services and work together when students transition between schools. Our staff has even participated in professional development with Niagara Wheatfield middle and high school teachers focused on restorative practices. This reflects our shared commitment to positive school climate and student success. We value our partnership with the district and remain committed to serving students, families, and the community for the years ahead. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak?
Just you.
This is our faculty and staff.
Do we need a motion?
Close public hearing or any motions from our board or no? No.
When you get to.
Okay. All right, with that, open privilege of the floor, if anyone has any other residents' comments? No, okay. Moving on to our consensus agenda items, I'll call for a motion to approve consensus agenda items 1 through 6 as presented.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Moving to our personnel items. I'll call for a motion to approve personnel items 1 through 16 as presented.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you for coming. now on to our standing committees. Any report from the capital projects, Bob?
As far as capital projects, we currently are on schedule for closing the building up by the end of fall here. And we'll be working inside the building over the winter with anticipation of March. March is our opening of the new auditorium. So right now, we're on schedule.
Okay, an update from our audit committee? You have a presentation? Go ahead, Mike.
No, I have a statement, though, nothing to do.
Well, it says presentation here.
The audit committee met earlier with the external auditors and did a more thorough review of the report and we're happy to report that we had a clean audit.
Very good. And policy committee? Update?
We looked at revisions for 2 different policies and we presented that.
Great, thank you. There are no external written communications. Move to ex officio student members report.
I'd like to talk about the homecoming week and the eco campus revitalization project. So the homecoming was very, very good. I mean, everyone like at our whiteout at the game, it was very, very good. The students played with their heart. They did very well. And the pep rally was great. Everyone was screaming, loved it. And the teachers were doing really good. Like they were on the field and they were making sure the kids were not running on the field. Cause last year we had problems with that where kids were just storming the field like for the tug of war, and that was not good. So it was good this year because they had that under control. Tomorrow, boys are going against Clarence. Let's do it. And then we have on Saturday, the 18th, the Eco Campus revitalization. This is going to be helpful in maintaining our school's natural environment, and so that we don't have to pay others to maintain it, and it's free, and it's a really good opportunity for our kids to go and help the school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to the president's report. I was at the homecoming game for a little bit. It's great to see
Students out, the community out, packed. There's lots and lots of people. It was amazing to see them come out to use the facilities that we have here. And then also I wanted to let the board know that our NISPA annual business meeting is coming up on October 16th, which is a virtual one that I'll represent at. But there's a number of different proposed resolutions, so if anyone's interested in looking over any of those, there's about a 40-page document that has those.
Excited reading.
Yeah, and it's exciting for, I think it was probably about a 5-hour phone
yeah.
call
Yes.
last year.
Have fun.
Yeah, so if anyone's interested in any more information on that or has any questions about any of the proposals, feel free to let me know. And with that, I'll pass to the superintendent.
Jason, thank you for doing that. 5 hours, sounds great. Just want to reflect back on a number of the different engagement activities. The district-wide elementary movie night happened a few Fridays back, and it was incredibly well attended. We had over 200 people at that event. The weather was beautiful. It was perfect. It was held outside in the courtyard. The movie started about 7:30, ended about 9 o'clock. The organizers of that did a really outstanding job. Homecoming, as you mentioned, I want to say there were between 1,200-1,500 people at the football game. My understanding is there were about 700 at the dance. The students, our students were incredibly appropriate, were great, during both of those events. During the week, Spirit Week, by all accounts, everything went really well there. So thanks to our students, our staff, our administrators, everybody who did the work, our SROs and SSOs. I mean, if you were at the big events, you saw their presence, and that certainly makes a big difference for everyone. And our community came out in droves, so it was really good. Thank you for mentioning the Eco Campus. We'll be planting about 10 trees that day. If you have a shovel, bring it. We'll have shovels if you don't. But we're looking forward to seeing everybody there. That is on Saturday, October 18th from 8 until 11 a.m. And then right around the corner, November 1st is the Wall of Fame ceremony. Okay, you can still get your tickets, but remember this year, again, like last year, if you plan on attending the ceremony, you also have to attend the breakfast because it's all held in the confines of the cafeteria. Where, you know, in future years, again, we'll have the ceremony and the odd, and then you can go into the cafeteria. If you want to take part, you also have to take part in the breakfast, okay? And I also, we talked a little about the Board of Education walkthrough. We said, I think we were gonna wait till we get a little bit closer, but I'm just looking at a couple of dates because we do have March 4th, March 18th, our Board of Education meeting dates. We've historically held the walkthroughs on those dates, so I don't think we necessarily have to zero in on those now, but just look at your calendars now, and if certainly if you want to make a decision on that. The only hesitation, of course, is we could say the 4th. And then if this is backed up at all, you know, especially if the audit is a place we want to get into, it certainly would impact that decision. So it's up to you what you want to do with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There's no other reports to the board. Any items for board discussion? Any old business? New business?
Need to approve the charter for the
Yes.
state?
Okay.
Or both.
There is.
They voted.
Was that under consensus?
Yeah, I just need to know how many are in favor and how many oppose.
That is.
Actually, it was not.
It is not listed under consensus agenda
Okay.
items.
Right,
So then good to hold a vote on that.
now call for a motion to approve the charter for Niagara Charter School.
I'll make a motion.
And moved and seconded. And then roll call, or just all those in favor? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Motion carries. There you go. Thank you.
Still surprised they left again without this. The last time we did this, they left before the vote for it.
Okay, any other new business? Very good. Public comments. It's up to you.
Well, open mic night.
Any board member comments tonight?
Yeah, I actually had one. I'm actually a representative on BOCES board and for Niagara Wheatfield, and yesterday we had a teacher that received an award for his work in the tech industry, the Niagara Tech, and he received from Harbor Freight $50,000 award. 35 of it went to the school, and the teacher has to receive 15. And his name is Scott Brower. He's in the tech. And if you seen the news yesterday, we were on the news, but it really was a great thing to see. He was really surprised when we kind of brought it to his classroom. And as he is, he's brought his students first right around, and he's been a phenomenal teacher over the years. It was really nice, and shout out to him for all the work he's done.
Thanks for sharing that, Bob.
Yes,
Yeah, just clarifying on the Eco Campus project, you said last time that there were going to be pre-dug holes for some of the trees? Okay, so we're not breaking through sand again?
What's that?
That is correct, that they're gonna be actually dug out the day before by, I think Candelas is the one coming in to dig that out. Can I add one more thing, and I apologize, Jason, because you made me think of it, Bob, when you talked about the news. The news also covered the social dance that took place at Tuscarora because of Orange Shirt Day, which was yesterday. I know I talked about it a lot, leading up to it, and the district sent out some information, but the media did cover it. And I'll just tell you that the meaningfulness of that ceremony and that social dance for the Tuscarora nation is so significant. And the fact that they include us as part of that, and actually this year invited a number of people from district office to participate. It's just a really special thing. And what some people don't know is that, the boarding schools took away a lot of the culture and language for many Native populations, including some of ours here on the Tuscarora Nation. And the amount of work you know, an energy that's been put in for them to get that language and get that culture back. Is just incredible. And, you know, the state's helped a lot with that, particularly with language development, and that's been really awesome to see. But, the Tuscarora community and the kids, you know, really shined the other day. And Tom was there with me, and it was just a really special day, So thank you for bringing up the news, because it reminded me of that.
Thanks. Anyone else? Okay. With that, I will call for a motion to adjourn.
So.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, abstained. Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you.